Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Strife's Sanctum podcast. My name is Citizen Strife, and we're doing yet another anime discussion situation. Going later into the summer, kind of midway towards the tail end of a season. So, say 7, 8-ish episodes in most cases. So things have kind of established what they are and how they're going to be. And they're still kind of working their way to the end of the season or to the middle of a season, depending on the cour they're in. But this will operate under the usual dub episodes only, so I'm maybe 1 or 2 episodes behind the upload schedule in most cases. And I'd say at this point I kind of know where most things are going to go, or if I like a thing, though there was a bit of a surprise. Just yesterday, I decided to dump a show that I was actually really into, and wasn't even thinking I was going to dump it anytime soon, and I just kind of did. So, well, there's that. So, that sort of thing doesn't happen often. You know, maybe 4 or 5 episodes in, or give the 3-episode rule, or even, like, immediately, but never, like, something that I liked and I just gave up on for an innocuous reason. But it was a reason, nonetheless, that I felt was important because the show was kind of there in its whole, and it wasn't escaping. As I was watching an episode, and I just decided, no, I'd rather keep watching other things. But we'll start with Dandadan, and this is not the show I gave up on. Far from it. The last couple of episodes have been Okarun manning up to Gigi and the Evil Eye, basically saying, I'm going to fight you, and I'm going to win, and I'm going to deal with it. And then going back to school and dealing with Momo, and their relationship continuously always being, will they, won't they, you know, that dynamic. They added in some weird perv dude. I don't know why he was there. I hope he's not like a main recurring character, you know, because he doesn't really bring anything to the table except saying spicy language or something, but doing it in the spicy language kind of, not even that, just the spicy language, talk to me, you know, that sort of like weird cringy person. I'm like, we don't need that in this show. It's not as funny as you think it is. That you already have a sort of standoffish, unsure of himself nerd in the main character. You don't need a second version of it who's more antagonistic but also worse somehow. Wasn't a fan of it. Keep doing the Momo Okarun stuff. I love that stuff. Even if it gets old, I'm just like, no, their dynamic works because this show is fucking weird. But it needs this kind of balancing act to work, because you can't have every episode be a rom-com. You can't have every episode be a fucking weird show. You need that balance. So they did that with this balancing act, and it's good. Let's see. Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. This one has been kind of my go-to in the gold standard show so far. Mostly because they're kind of veering in a different direction than they were at the start of the season, and they're making it even harsher now. And it was harsh enough when you were considering that they were dealing with Aoi and Akane and their relationship and feeding on that. But then they added something interesting known as the severance, where they cut off all of the spirits and monsters and things that were infesting the world. They just shunted them across the other plane, and they can't interact. So now Ko and Nene and Teru have kind of banded together in trying to kind of find their way through that for different reasons and different purposes, and seeing Nene in a compromised light again, you know, considering that there are only so many times and ways you can compromise the main character before it gets old, but she isn't like the super strong one, the super determined one, to an extent. So you can still add layers of uncertainty to her and what she's trying to do, and showing a determination and a strength in a different way, in that purpose. So this is a new method of What happens when all of the ghostly beings and weird shit are gone and taken away? How do you get back into it? And showing sides of characters that weren't really there before. Going to visit Mitsuba's mother and talk to her, stuff I wasn't really expecting they'd dive into. Different layers of the show that keep peeling back and making it so good. And again, I'm going to talk about the show at length in October, but man, it just keeps getting better and better in different ways that I was expecting. Sakamoto Days is getting better. I had that kind of rut for a while where I was like, yeah, it's fine, I don't care. But now they've gotten to this like exam thing that they're taking. But what really kind of struck me wasn't the fact that the plane was being beset by bullets and death and shit, because that's Sakamoto Days. It was one of the characters, just a random ass character that took center stage in the episode, and he was voiced by Crispin Freeman, who I'm pretty sure has been in anime for a while, but not anything recent that I can remember, or if he has, it's been in shows that I have not really been watching, like Fate or something like that. The last I heard him was in something known as Ingress, which was like 4 or 5 years ago, so if he's been in stuff, like the last few times I heard him was in Star Ocean 5 a decade ago, Ingress, and of course he's been doing his podcast and whatever else, but it's just like, he was in every anime ever in that 2000 to 2005 and whatever period, and it was like, okay, he's everywhere, and it's cool, and it's great. And then to not hear him forever, and then all of a sudden, oh god, it's him? Okay, it was like hearing, I forget who it was. I think Wendy Lee did a random voiceover in some like random anime I wasn't expecting her to be in out of nowhere. Just a bit part, I was like, okay, that's not who I was expecting, but I like it. Because my ears perked up because I knew who it was. Because I'm at this point, and it wasn't just because I'm starting to be a voice actor. It's because this was kind of my thing long ago. It was like recognizing actors and who they are and recognizing their roles. I was like, as soon as I heard Freeman in Sakamoto Days, I'm like, okay, now I'm intrigued. Because they have good actors in the show, like Matt Mercer already, but it's like, okay, but Crispin Freeman is like one of the absolute best, even though Mercer is definitely not running. I don't have that fondness for him like I would say Freeman does. But of course, it's not even just that. It's that I knew he did his villainous Albedo voice. And if you have never played Xenosaga 1, 2, or 3 and have never seen Albedo, oh my fucking god, you are missing out. You should go to fucking YouTube and watch it, because it looks like Namco Bandai is never releasing it for us. But if you have a PS2 and have played Xenosaga, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You hear the words Crispin Freeman, Albedo voice, you're fucking sold. That's my reaction anyway. He gets to play this weird-ass freaking cinematographer guy, filmmaker, and he basically blows the plane sky high, and everybody else has to fend for themselves, and you start getting the new girl, Akira Cow. I'm just trying to get the name. I was reversing them. Akira slowly developing herself and getting involved with the main characters because they're there too. All their stuff that they were doing, that episode was great. And they do an episode, recently of capture the tail or capture the flag kind of thing and play tag, flag football kind of thing, but with death and shit, and I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to get into the show again, because there are times where I just don't really like what they're trying to do, or the setup is just kind of there, or the characters that I'm, that they're fending off are not all that interesting. This, examination, plane assassination, whatever setup was really freaking good. And I'm like, okay, this is one of their better moments. This is one of their more imaginative, because that's kind of their role, is finding new weird things to, do assassin shit in. And that's fine. But this one was one of the better ones, and I'm happy that. So I'm hoping it keeps up its momentum. Dress Up Darling, not as much. Like, here's another cosplay. It's cool, but I'm not diving with it as much as I should be, because I remember when I first watched it, I was just blown away by the chemistry of the main characters, and it's still present, but the more that it drags, the more I'm just like, oh, there's another cosplay, there's another whatever. There's no like frantic energy. It just kind of is settled into what it is going to be. And I'm, much like with Sakamoto Days, I'm waiting for the, oh wow, it's back to really fucking good moment, because I know it can. But I'm just kind of zoning out of episodes here and there, and I'm getting what I need out of it without going kind of nuts for it. Gachiakuta, more cool stuff. They've introduced these weirdos known as raiders, and doing a lot of crazy stuff with them, crazy powers with them, and Rudo is dealing with what his vital instruments are and how that works. They finally kind of determined his superpower is basically recycling bad items and turning them into really fucking awesome things for like their last ditch effort. So he fights off the most recent main bad guy dude, who was a really freaking weird ass piece of work, and this weirdo in dreads who poisons people with his claws, and he poisons himself because he's a fucking masochist and also a sadist. So yeah, weird. But they introduced the main boss dude, but he's still, Rudo is still new to the Cleaner's HQ. He needs to figure out what the fuck he's going to do, because getting back to the sphere is hard, and it's a terrible idea to not know what you're doing. So it's probably going to still take a little while. They might have to stretch this out for another set of episodes. I don't think they want to go back to the sphere too early. I think they want to save that for its own season. At least that would, because you're still barely even scratching the surface of what this pit is. So maybe that's what they're gonna do. I don't know if they've announced a second Cour, but it sounds to me like there's too much going on and not enough time to, get him back on the sphere and do stuff. Like, that seems very short-sighted. So I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll take their time with it, which is good, because the show is really nice. Tougen Anki, I said before that the main bad guy is kind of there and annoying, because he's just kind of, I'm better than you, and you're dumb, and he has other people fighting for himself, and it's just kind of insufferable. So they keep on their fighting, and they're doing stuff. They have started to introduce other characters and their powers, which was nice. This blonde-haired girl who basically can influence or attract enemies if enough blood gets on her. That's new. And then just beat the fucking crap out of them because they can't fight back, something like that. The other dude has kind of a very meek and sheltered and I'm just those kinds of characters. Not again. The super shy, I can't do nothing, I can't fight nothing, I do nothing. And then he has a sister complex, but that turns into his power is basically, I'm a dancer and I spew blood everywhere, and it's cool, and cool dancing effects with the blood and all shit like that. So it was a nice change of pace to finally see a shy character kind of break out of that shell. He's not going to forever, but at least to know what his power set is, it's kind of nice that they actually got to those, because I was wondering if the characters were even going to have power sets, because there's like 3 or 4 main characters, and then the rest are just kind of there. No, they've got their own powers now, which is kind of handy. Let's see, Tougen Anki, Leviathan. Leviathan moved pretty quickly in the last set of episodes. They went to Istanbul and learned about the culture there, learned that there was a coup, that was an uprising that was starting, and Alec wanted to get in on the thing. He enlisted Dylan's help, even though everybody else said it was a terrible idea. They started befriending a girl who's the granddaughter of kind of the lady who's sort of running it, but the daughter of the guy who's actually doing all the fighting and shit. So Alec and the girl get intrigued by each other, and then Dylan kind of gets a little jealous and doesn't want to get intruding, and I'm finally just like, oh god, they're actually kind of interested in each other. And they pulled the cool thing where it's like, Alex, stop being so dense. And it dawns on him. And I'm just like, thank you. Thank you. The main character is not a complete fucking dumbass. And it's just like, it took him a few episodes longer than I would have liked, but they started building the relationship, and it's like, okay, this makes more sense now. This is good. This is the kind of stuff that I like building towards, when there's chemistry in the characters enough that it doesn't come out of nowhere that they'd become love interests, because they could have went the entire show with them just being buddy and the Mulan mask on Dylan not really falling off, but everybody else is not falling for it, so why the fuck would Alec fall for it? And it dawns on him at the end of an episode as a cliffhanger, and I'm like, yay! Actual movement. This is cool. So one of them's probably going to end up dead, which is going to suck. Knowing how these things work, a serious show with love interest, something's going to happen, and it's going to suck. But they're main characters. They might have plot armor. I sure hope they do. Anyway, other characters in the show die instead. Okay. Well, whatever. With You and the Rain. What I've said about this has stayed true the whole time. It is a show about a woman and her dog. And it is great. And it is fun. They just sit around and do nothing. Or they walk outside and do nothing. Or they stand around and watch fireworks and do nothing. Or they do whatever. It's great. They talk to other family members and they meet other pets and they do nothing. And it's glorious. It's just seeing Yu's reaction and Fuji just smiling, the subtle smiles that she gives. And then the weird, like, out of nowhere reasoning, just apropos of nothing, she shows up in a bunny costume for a weird cutaway gag. And it's like only like a minute long, and I'm just like, I don't know if I wanted this, but I'm okay with it. Whatever. So Fuji is a yoga person too. I did not know that. So she does a yoga pose in an episode, and I'm like, yay! She's a yogi. I love it. I love her even more now as a character. So these two are just fantastic. Got the alien raccoon dog, mutt dog thing, tanuki dog, whatever. It's great. And just the reactions to nothing. They don't do anything. They're not trying to make this any bigger. They're not trying to make this important. They might have to in like the last 2 episodes because the 2 episode syndrome. But it's like, why? I mean, the worst that'll happen is he like gets hurt, or one of them gets separated or something. Like the two of them get separated somehow, and then they have to find each other, and it's just like, no, that's not what this show is. It's just dumb fun for the sake of being dumb fun. It's pet show stuff, and it's like, oh, it's lovely. Let's see. But with that comes the show I dropped, which I was kind of disappointed because I was going to watch it, and I was going to watch that and Leviathan, and I was watching Lord of Mysteries for like 5 minutes, and then I just said, I don't want to watch this anymore. I wanted to watch Leviathan, and I had way more fun with Leviathan, and it's not, how would I describe it? It was shonen battle syndrome, but with magic. And I think that was my main issue, was I don't really know what the fuck is going on with this show. You have this bureau of people who fight magical stuff, but okay, they're fighting magical stuff. Are they part of an organization? Is there a main bad guy other than, hey, we need a bad guy for this episode or a bad girl for this episode. They're part of it, whatever, I'm getting stuff of the family dynamic, but like, who is the main hero other than the first episode he was in? I don't know anything about him other than his weird Beyonder stuff. Is it a fake? Is it a put on? Is it his real powers? Who are the other two? Do they just show up? Like, I start wondering, like, for all the visual splendor and cool looking imagery, I don't know what the fuck is going on, and I feel like I'm being left behind. And whenever a battle starts, they start talking this magical mumbo jumbo gibberish, and I don't I don't get it. I don't see what, oh, this power does this thing. Or could you explain the power for a second? Other than letting me kind of figure it out from a visual perspective. Like, I think it's a style but no substance in there, and I'm getting left behind because I was liking the first couple of episodes because they were trying to establish things, but I don't know what the sequence 7, 8, 9 stuff is other than a ranking system. I don't know who the seer versus the whatever. Like, there are different power sets, but it's like, okay, I'm supposed to take your word that this guy, okay, this guy's a seer, this main dude, but the other guy could be a whatever, but the main commander guy is a what? Like, what is his motivation? Can I spend time talking to them? I want time to breathe, but they're in such a hurry, despite having longer runtime per episodes, to do all the mythical, magical mumbo-jumbo shit, or to establish, here's a main bad guy, let's go do the bad guy thing. I mean, it's fine, but I don't feel anything for the characters anymore, and I'm just kind of awash in a sea of lights and sounds that I don't get. So I'm just a bit disappointed, because unlike the Clevatess thing, where like it was 2 or 3 episodes and I knew I dumped it, this was like 6 episodes, give or take, until I found, well, I'm not getting it, and I don't know if I want to get it. And it sucks because I know they put a lot of effort into all the mystical weird shit, and the budget is fucking amazing. It's like a freaking animated movie half the time. But I don't have the fondness for the main character and his plight anymore. I don't care about his organization other than, hey, these are some people I know. Let them have fights against some, the Sakamoto Days problem. It's the same deal. Like, if the Sakamoto Days thing wasn't, like, higher end, half the time, I would probably just be like, but they spend time talking about the characters in spite of all the killing and shit. I learn about why these people are these people, and I think it's simplicity. There's something about Lord of Mysteries that it's like, they expect you to know what's going on, but they don't tell you. But they don't tell you enough either. So they don't tell you too much, but they don't tell you enough to feel like you care. So that when you're fighting dudes, you can't shut your brain off and go, ooh, magical mystic lights bullshit. No, it's just, okay, this is some weird spooky horror shit. I don't get it. I want to get it, but I don't. And I just feel frustrated. So I dumped Lord of Mysteries, even though it's still, like, it's technically one of the better things. It just loses luster with me, and I don't, like, follow along anymore. I just kind of zone out and don't get it. And I'm like, all right, I'd rather watch Leviathan. And Leviathan is fine and serviceable, but other than Dylan and Alec, I don't really care that much about what's going on in Leviathan, and yet I follow it better. So it's one of those scenarios where Lord of Mysteries is probably a better show than a lot of things, but it just ends up not registering with me anymore, and it kind of sucks because it was something I was liking, and then it just didn't evolve enough, I don't think. But, I still have God knows how many shows, and as long as I have a raccoon dog and a happy yogi, writer lady, I'm good for the season. So that'll do for this week, and these set of couple weeks. So let's see what we got. Nier Automata, Ottoman Empire, Ottoman Chair, whatever. Nier Automata next week, the anime and the game. And let's see, Illusion of Gaia, Toilet About Hanako-kun into October, East End Nordics. Then we get into November and Zenshu. Stuff about visuals and splendor, but it actually you actually understand what's going on half the time. And then Vagrant Story in late November. So that one is different. I'll have to remind myself not to get bogged down by the tempering and creation system that game has, because I drive myself fucking crazy. I think I told myself if I was going to do it, I would probably set the tempering guide in its own thing, kind of like Legend of Mana. So it's more just a bit by bit, thought process of the main game as a whole, rather than, oh my god, I'm bogged down by all this fucking creation stuff. So I'll talk about Vagrant's story in its own time. So that'll do for today, and I will see you next time. Citizen Strife, signing off.